Can you still make $100,000 a year on Etsy? Absolutely. But if you're following the exact same advice everyone was sharing 2 or 3 years ago, you're probably making it harder than it has to be. The Etsy sellers breaking through 6 figures today aren't just creating more products and hoping for more traffic. They're using AI to identify opportunities faster. They're building systems that increase how much each customer spends. They're leveraging creators, content, email marketing, and strategic launches to drive consistent growth. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 8 strategies I would use to make $8,333 per month, which would get you to a 6-figure Etsy business in 2026. So whether you're trying to get to your first $10,000, your first $50,000, or finally break through the $100,000 mark, these are the exact shifts that can help you get there faster. So let's get into it. Starting with tip number 1, using AI-powered demand forecasting. The first thing I'd focus on to guarantee your next 6-figure year is moving beyond simple trend spotting and learning how to predict demand before everyone else catches on. By the time a trend is obvious on Etsy, thousands of other sellers have usually already jumped on it. That's why the most successful sellers today aren't just looking for trends, they're looking for signals. They're paying attention to search behavior, emerging niches, seasonal demand, social media conversations, and market data long before a product or design trend ever even reaches Etsy. And that's where AI becomes incredibly powerful here. Instead of spending hours manually researching these ideas, you can use tools like ChatGPT or Claude to analyze customer reviews, identify recurring pain points, summarize niche opportunities, and even help brainstorm product variations based on emerging demand. And then you could also use sites like Pinterest Trends and even Everbee Research's growth rate feature to have a good idea of what might be coming on the horizon. Then you can go into any social platform like TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook and scroll through video searches like summer 2026 trends or gifts your husband will actually want to find what's currently doing well in the market, but more than likely has not even hit Etsy yet. Then you can validate those ideas using actual marketplace data within Everbee to see what's already generating sales, what keywords shoppers are actively searching for, and where demand may be growing before you spend time ever creating the products. Moving on to tip number 2, building traffic systems beyond Etsy. Now, don't get me wrong, Etsy search traffic is incredible, especially if you've done your research in Everbee for optimizing your listings and your shop overall. But if Etsy is your only source of customers, you've also created a single point of failure. Think about it. What happens if your rankings drop? What happens if a customer enters your niche and they're a little better than you? What happens if search demand slows down seasonally? If all of your traffic comes from one place, your income becomes much harder to control and predict. That's why 6-figure sellers are building what I like to call a traffic portfolio. Instead of relying on a single source, they intentionally create multiple ways for customers to discover their products and their business. That might include things like, of course, Etsy search, but also Pinterest, email marketing, short-form video content, Google traffic, creator partnerships, and even repeat customers coming back to buy again. The goal is to just gradually build additional streams of traffic so your business becomes more stable and more predictable over time. And one of the easiest ways to start this is with email marketing, because unlike social media, you actually own that audience. You can announce launches, promote seasonal collections, offer VIP early access, and bring customers back into your shop whenever you want. Another opportunity that's becoming increasingly important is, of course, short-form content. A single piece of content can introduce your product to thousands or even millions of potential buyers without requiring a large advertising budget. So the sellers that are growing the fastest right now aren't waiting for customers to find them. They're creating multiple pathways that lead customers back to them. Because when traffic comes from multiple sources, growth becomes much easier to predict. And that moves us perfectly into tip number 3, reverse engineering your $100,000 goal. How many sales do you actually need to make to reach $100,000 a year? And when you don't know the math behind your goal, it's easy to feel like 6 figures is impossible, some massive milestone that's completely out of reach. But when you break it down, it becomes much more manageable. Let's use $100K a year as our example still. That works out to about $8,333 per month. Now let's say your average order value is $35. That means you'd need roughly 238 orders per month to hit that goal. And if your shop converts at around 3%, you'd need approximately 8,000 visitors per month to generate those orders. And once you understand the numbers behind your goal, every other business decision becomes easier because you're no longer asking, how do I make more money? You're instead asking much better questions like, how do I increase traffic? traffic? How do I improve conversion rates? How do I increase average order value? One of the biggest mistakes I see Etsy sellers making when they're trying to grow is assuming they just need more products. They just need more listings. But in reality, what they need is more intentional products and listings. So tip number 4 is all about building product ecosystems, not selling random products. A lot of sellers add new listings whenever they run out of ideas, or they saw a trend that everyone else was hopping on and decided to do it themselves, even if that literally has nothing to do with their ideal buyer. But six-figure sellers, they tend to think differently here. Instead of creating random products, they're building full-blown ecosystems. In other words, they're creating collections of products that naturally work together and serve the same customer. If you're selling wedding invitations, don't stop at the invitation. Think what happens after the invitation. That customer may also need RSVP cards, welcome signs, seating charts, menus, thank you cards, bridal shower invitations, bachelorette party templates, and more. So the goal is to ask yourself one simple question. What is the next thing this customer is likely to need? The more often you can answer that question, the more opportunities you create for additional sales. When someone buys one product from you, they should naturally discover another product that complements it. And one of the easiest ways to identify those opportunities is by looking at the data. Tools like Everbee can help you identify related products that customers are already purchasing within your niche, making it easier to spot expansion opportunities you may not have considered yet. And this approach does two powerful things. First, it increases the lifetime value, or LTV, of every customer. And second, it makes your shop feel more like a brand and less like a collection of unrelated items. And once you've built that ecosystem, you unlock one of the fastest ways to increase customer revenue without finding more customers, increasing the value of every order, which perfectly segues us into tip number 5, creating strategic upsells, cross-sells, and bundles. So now that you've built your product ecosystem, the next step is increasing the value of every customer who buys from you within that ecosystem. So let's quickly break down the difference between the three of these. An upsell is when you encourage a customer to purchase a higher value version of what they're already considering. For example, if someone's looking at a single wall art print, you might offer them a larger size, a premium version with a frame, or a matching set of 3 prints instead. A cross-sell is when you recommend a complementary product that naturally goes along with their original purchase. Think of Amazon's famous customers also bought section. If someone is buying a wedding invitation template from my example from earlier, a cross-sell might be a matching RSVP card, seating chart, or welcome sign. And then we have bundles. Bundles simply combine multiple related products together in one purchase, often at a slightly better value than purchasing each item individually. And this is exactly how larger e-commerce brands increase revenue without constantly chasing down new customers. They focus on customer value. They're asking things like, what is the next thing this person is likely to need? And then they make that next purchase incredibly easy for the person themselves. For Etsy sellers, this can be as simple as creating listing images that showcase complementary products, mentioning related items inside your descriptions, or building strategic product bundles around your best sellers. But if you're even more serious about building a real six-figure business, there may come a point where you want more control over your customer journey overall. And that's one of the reasons that many of my students are actually expanding beyond Etsy and building their own storefronts. For example, platforms like OpShop by Everbee allow you to create dedicated product recommendations, post-purchase upsells, and cart-based cross-sells that actively increase average order value throughout the buying process. So instead of hoping customers discover another listing, you can strategically guide them toward additional products that make sense for what they're already purchasing. When you increase how much each customer spends, you don't need nearly as many customers to reach your income goals. And that becomes incredibly powerful as your business scales, which leads us perfectly into our tip number 6 for today. Planning your launches and promotions 6 months in advance minimum. Most Etsy sellers decide to run a sale a few days before the holiday, or they freak out because they haven't seen a lot of sales this week and they randomly add a site-wide 25% discount with no real thought behind it. But larger and successful e-commerce brands are often planning their promotions 6 months or more in advance. And there's a good reason for that. The success of a promotion isn't actually determined when the sale starts. It's determined by everything that happens leading up to it. For example, let's say you want to have a successful Black Friday promotion. I am wholeheartedly honest right now when I say that the Everbee team is already working behind the scenes this month, June 2026, to plan for our annual Black Friday Cyber Monday specials, which means you should be too. If you're creating the products, writing the listings, designing the graphics, and figuring out your marketing plan in November, you're already behind, even if you get all of this done 3 weeks before Black Friday. So the sellers who tend to win here are preparing months earlier. They're researching demand. They're creating seasonal product ideas. They're optimizing listings way ahead of time. They're collecting email subscribers. They're teasing upcoming launches, and they're giving customers multiple opportunities to get excited before the promotion ever begins. And this is why I recommend building out a 6-month promotional promotional calendar at minimum for your business. At any given time, you should already know what major event, launch, collection, or seasonal opportunity you're preparing for next. For example, one of my one-on-one students is in the golfing space, so it would make a ton of sense for us to create promotions around Father's Day, before and during the Masters, and during National Golf Month, August. You can tease upcoming products through social media, share sneak peeks with your audience, build wait list, and if you're collecting emails, which you absolutely should be doing, you can even create VIP early access opportunities for your subscribers before the general public ever sees the promotion. And that early excitement often leads to stronger launches, higher conversion rates, and more consistent sales throughout the year. But the best part is planning ahead also gives Etsy's algorithm more time to understand and index your listings before peak shopping periods ever arrive. So instead of scrambling to catch demand, you're already positioned when shoppers start searching. You're no longer reacting to opportunities, you're preparing for them. Because the businesses that grow faster don't just have better products, they have better planning. And with better planning comes tip number 7, scaling with creators and ads. Once you've built great products, increased your average order value, and planned your launches in advance, the next challenge becomes visibility. Layer 1 is your organic traffic. This includes Etsy search, Pinterest, Google traffic, email marketing, and any content you're creating yourself. Layer 2 is paid advertising. This could include Etsy ads, Pinterest ads, Meta ads, or other paid traffic sources that help amplify what's already working. And then layer 3 is creator content, and this is where things get really interesting. Instead of creating every piece of content yourself, you can partner with creators who make product demonstrations, unboxings, tutorials, lifestyle videos, and UGC content that showcases your products in a way that feels natural and authentic. Then layer 4 is just retargeting, because not everyone buys the first time they see your product, or even the 6th time they see it. So retargeting allows you to stay in front of interested shoppers and bring them back when they're ready to purchase. And the reason this strategy works so well is every single piece of content can serve multiple purposes. One creator video might become an Etsy listing video, a Pinterest pin, a TikTok post, a Meta ad, an email asset, and a product page video. One piece of content can literally generate value across your entire marketing ecosystem. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, that all sounds great, Leslie, but I have no idea how to find creators, manage creators, write briefs, or tell them what content's even good to make. Well, the good news is that there are now more options than ever to help you out here. One option is, of course, AI-generated UGC. This space is growing incredibly fast right now, and many creators are even licensing their image and likeness to AI platforms. So businesses like yours can create creator-style content without going through traditional outreach means. Simply type in AI UGC avatar into Google or YouTube, and you're going to find a lot of options. The second option is using systems and frameworks that walk you through the process. For example, I personally built an AI assistant called the POD Conversion Coach that was actually trained on my personal marketing strategies for my print-on-demand students. It can help you think through creator outreach, content angles, marketing campaigns, and even help you build creator briefs so you're not starting at a blank page wondering what to do next. So if that's something you'd like access to, go ahead and comment AI Coach below and I'll send you over the details. Moving on to our 8th and final tip for today's video, building an AI-powered Etsy business. As your business grows, you'll eventually discover something that surprises a lot of Etsy sellers. The biggest obstacle to scaling is not usually traffic, and it's not products. It's not even marketing. It's time, because every new sale creates more tasks, more listings, more customer messages, more marketing, more research, more decisions. And if you're doing everything manually, eventually you become your own bottleneck in your own business. And that's why sellers who successfully scale to 6 figures and beyond started focusing on leverage first and foremost. They look for ways to automate, simplify, and systemize as much of the business as possible. And in 2026, AI has become the most powerful tool available for doing exactly that every day. Today, AI can help you brainstorm product ideas, identify market opportunities, analyze customer reviews, draft listing descriptions, generate marketing content, create email campaigns, build promotional calendars, and even help you map out an entire freaking website. Within OppaShop, for example, we offer Everbee Brain, which is an internal AI system that can do all of the aforementioned for and with you. And Everbee Research uses so many different AI levers to make data-driven assumptions for what is and what will be trending to use in your business. But here's the important thing. The goal is never to replace yourself with AI. The goal is to free yourself up to focus on the activities that actually grow the business. Things like product development, customer experience, marketing strategy, partnerships, and revenue growth. Think about it this way. Every hour you spend doing repetitive admin work is an hour you're not spending on higher value activities that move the needle and your business forward. Which brings us back to something we've talked about throughout this entire video. data. Because no matter how much AI evolves, one thing will always remain true. Good decisions require good information. And that's why tools like Everbee have become such an important part of many successful Etsy sellers' workflows. Instead of guessing what products to create, what keywords to target, or where opportunities might exist, you can use real marketplace data at the click of a button to make smarter decisions faster. And when you combine that data with AI, strategic marketing, creator content, product ecosystems, and intentional growth planning, you're no longer running your Etsy shop like a side hustle. You're operating it like a real e-com business. And that's ultimately what separates the sellers who stay stuck from the sellers who break through six figures. So there you have it, my friends. 8 tips to start generating $8,333 or more per month in your online business. If you found these tips valuable and you're not already subscribed to the channel, you guys know what to do next. And if you want to see the newest 2026 features inside of Everbee, learn how to use them to find products, validate demand, research competitors, and make smarter decisions for your Etsy business overall, I went ahead and linked our most up-to-date Everbee tutorial right here above my head. That walkthrough was updated in June of 2026, and it covers our latest tools, features, and strategies available inside the platform. So if you're ready to put everything we talked about today into action, click that video next. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.